It was 2002 or 2003, I forgot, but I think it's 2002, yeah. I think it's all about the atmosphere, and everyone is like overwhelmingly nice, and then they're very supportive of us, and then we've learned a lot of things. I mean, we got to do a lot of fun things, but at the same time we're also learning, and moreover I've got to see a broader spectrum of like types of people, because it's an inclusive school where not only one certain type of kid attend the school, so a lot of different kids that we're accepting differences and stuff. So I got to learn a lot of things from that, but most part of it, like, it's very welcoming, and got to do a lot of fun when I was in primary school. When I see like my friends like from other schools, like when I'm telling them like the stories that are actually happening in my school, they were like, "What? You're doing that? You're doing this?" Because especially when I tell about like I'm very close with my teacher, and then we're getting along, and we're doing a lot of fun stuff and such, they don't experience that in public school, for instance. So yeah, it's a lot of different things, because and then they're also like putting you into like really good feeling and everything. They make you feel really good about everything, despite like for instance, you're not doing quite well in school, but then they're gonna comfort you, then assist you to become better and everything. So yeah, I really like the environment. One of the highlights when I was in like primary school was just like all the field trips that we've done. It's like, because other schools, they don't usually have this like 2 field trips in a year, and then we've had like 2 field trips, and then it's not like, it's major, it's always major, and then we always got to do a lot of experience things. For instance, we went to the Kabar Mountain for one day, and then we did all this amazing race kind of thing, and then it's all educational, but it's also fun. And I was going to remember that we got a lot of memories doing a lot of major field trips that are a lot of fun. Like when the first time when I was in primary school, it was quite a bit of like a shock in a way, just because I was very little, and then I'm not quite aware of that kind of environment, but then at the same time, as time goes by, I learned to accept, because they're just like the same with us, but they just have a little bit of challenge in their life. So it'll be better for us, someone who's privileged for not having that challenge in life. It's to help them evolve together with us, and then they're also very nice people, and it kind of makes me think that no one is different, everyone is just the same. It's just like that challenge itself. And yeah, and in real life it does really matter, because sometimes I feel really bad for some people who are just like discriminating or like or having some bias towards those people, but they're just like, to even call it those people, it's not right, they're just the same with us. And I think I learned a lot of things, just to be grateful for everything, and just to be nice. I'm having fun, growing up with them. I've learned a lot of things as well. It's like shaping me as a person as well, because I did learn a lot from them, Some of them, just when they're being labeled as special needs doesn't mean that they're not able to do things correctly, because some of them were just like extremely intelligent and smart. I mean, they're super talented. Sometimes I was just like, wow. I mean, despite having that challenges in their life like that, I mean, they managed to pull off a lot of things, even better than me. I mean, a lot of times. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's why they're just basically the same, or maybe they're even better than you. So there's really no need to just label them as different, because they're really inspirational, and they can be they're super talented as well. Yeah. Well, yes, I think I got a thing with Mutiara Bunda. Like, it's like one of the big part of like my support system, like the thing that actually shapes me the way I am now. Because if I'm not been like studying in Mutiara Bunda, it's like quite a different story, because I think, as I told you before, like all the people are making you feel good about yourself, and then they're trying to support you and give you a lot of comfort and try to support you into everything, and then they provide you with a lot of things that requires you to be more outspoken, to be more critical, to be open-minded, and then they provide you, like they offer you a lot of things that sort of open your mind to the broader spectrum of the world. So you got to experience a lot of things that are actually going on, because when I was in high school, there were a lot of guests from overseas, and then then they're not gonna be like trying to communicate with you in Indonesian, so it kind of requires you like, you know, have that bravery to actually speak up. And then they like gave that to me, and then they also like push us to do like some bit of competitions, you know, just to boost our confidence. So I obtained my confidence from that. So therefore, when I arrive overseas, I'm not in total shock, you know. It's like just, you know, back home. So, you know, I never really thought that I would actually ended up in New Zealand myself as well, because, you know, at the time when I graduated from high school, I didn't get accepted to any university in Indonesia, and then I've decided to take a break for a year just so I can take another examinations in the next year. But then all of a sudden, in the middle of the way, my mom sort of told me like, hey, do you want to give it a shot? I mean, like, you don't have to enforce it, but it's just like a shot, because like to study in New Zealand, because I always know that you wanted to study in New Zealand. So long story short, when I was in middle school, I've seen this like some sort of like a documentary videos, and then it was all about New Zealand, and I've seen the natures and everything. It was so beautiful. And then I immediately went on a research on Google and everything, and I try to search on the educational sector kind of thing. So, and then the quality is really good, and it's always been a dream of mine to go to New Zealand. But at the time, I was just like, oh, probably I'm not gonna make it, just because, you know, it's quite pricey, and then it's like I don't really have any channel to go there. But then, for like my mom to tell me that, I was just like, oh really? Should I give it a shot? I mean, but it's gonna be like, you know, my mom just told me, it's alright, just give it a shot. So it requires me, if you want to study overseas, that you have to take IELTS test, right? Yeah. Okay. So I've never taken any IELTS test, I've never taken any English courses my whole entire life. So I've decided to take IELTS class for only 2 weeks, and then the next day, when I finished the preparations, like I took the test, and then I managed to pull it up, and I passed, and then I decided to go to New Zealand, and that's where it all started. This is like, I had a premonitions of like what's going to happen, but I was not quite too sure at the time, because I was a bit too young to decide whether I really want to go there or not. But I already had that premonitions about wanting to go or like be living there. Well, yes, I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, all the natures and everything, and about the cultures and then the studies. Well, you know, it's quite a different synergy and dynamic compared to like college in Indonesia, because I've heard a lot of stories from my friends who study here. I mean, not saying that it's bad here, but it's just like, well, I'm not saying that it's totally bad here, but it's just like, it's a total different experience that I've had I not go overseas. That I think I'm just gonna be stuck in this nutshells and not being able to, you know, see the world and see what's going on, what's put out there. You know, there's a lot of things that people really need to know, so that's why I've decided to go out, and later on I can share with a lot of people, and, you know, we can evolve together to be better. I think that's my goal. So it was Bachelor of Commerce, the program itself, but I took 2 majors. Then I was doing management and marketing. So Bachelor of Commerce has like 3 branches of its, you know, major. So it has accounting, marketing, and management, but I took management and marketing. So yeah, I've got to do a lot of things like sportsmanship, and then how to present yourself in public, marketing things, how to, you know, creating strategy of like what attracts the market and getting to know people. You know, it's all about, it's like a whole thing really. It's not only stuff. Yeah, and because I did some internship as well, like, you know, got to do the real deal, like doing social media stuff, and then got to promote actually firsthand, like going off the street, spreading flyers and stuff like that, and making proposals. Say that you're creating an event and you're going to like different firms and companies, asking for money, some sort of things like that, and then also like helping them sort of hiring people, you know, kind of human resource kind of stuff. Yeah. Exactly. When I was in high school, I was also part of the samba. Is it? The OSIS? Yeah. It's still samba, and we've done a lot of events as well. And then one of the main part was the the charity event where it's like free medications, or like, but in the same time we have to ask for a lot of fund to a lot of sponsors, and then we did create a lot of proposals, and then we're going to different companies. So yeah, I did learn a lot of things like back at high school, so I'm just totally used to that. Because like a lot of my friends were just quite overwhelmed. It's like heavy anxiety, like what am I supposed to do with this? But then, chill out, I can take this. Not trying to be narcissistic, but this is my thing. Well, absolutely the cultural difference. That's like a total like 180 difference.
Yeah.
I mean, like we're super conservative down here, and they're like very open and liberal about everything. But at the same time, like, you know, it's not big of a struggle because they're very accepting to whoever you are, wherever you came from. You know, we've got a lot of stories about countries not accepting people, you know, migrants and stuff like that. But it's quite well, but it's quite a different, it's quite a bit of a different story in New Zealand because, you know, they're very accepting, especially when you're able to communicate with them well. They're very excited about it, and then they start to like super curious about, oh, what's your country like? Because they're not quite aware of Indonesia. They only know Bali. They even think that Bali is a country, you know. And then I happen to be the appointed leader for the Indonesian Association, student associations for one period. That's what I really take a chance to actually showcase what we actually have. So I had, me and my team, we managed to like create this event in collaborations with the embassy as well at my campus, and then we got to showcase a lot of different performances, foods and everything. Everyone was like dancing along, you know, looking at like Caucasians, New Zealand people are dancing to dangdut music. It's like very, it's really fascinating, you know. You gotta travel there because it's, you know, it's very green and yeah, not much of a population. Just because the city where I studied, where I lived when I was studying in New Zealand, the populations of the city itself, it only has like 50,000 people. Like coming from Bandung, who's like this immensely crowded, and like to that town who's like, there's basically nothing, even like cars. To see that a lot of, like most of the stores close at 4 p.m. It's like,
4 p.m.
It's quite a, yeah, it's different world. What's a bit different for me, like when I like come back home, like for a trip, for instance, like I stayed here for a month, because I'm very well adjusted to New Zealand already, like seeing people like saying hi to you in the street, or just like saying how are you to the cashier and stuff. But then here, it's just like, even I was just trying to be nice to the cashier and it's like, hi, how are you? I'm like, and she was just like, what? Yeah, I'm good. Are you trying to? Yeah, exactly. My thought exactly. I mean, like, when people are there, we're just like all caring and nice, and then they're very appreciative. Well, they really appreciate like human, you know, like energy and stuff, like power. So they really value human. So they, any kind of odd jobs, even say that you're washing dishes, you're still getting really paid quite high. I'll do it in a heartbeat. That's what I've been thinking. Like I've been telling my mom, say that I have like son or daughter, I have children, that I would actually obviously gonna admit them to Mutiara Bunda for sure. Definitely, you know, because I've seen a lot of different schools. It's just no.
Yes.
The world is so scary now, so I'm not gonna risk it for the sake of my child's future. Her and my father, they did a lot of research of going through a lot of different schools, like which kind of schools will be suitable for my kid, and then they just like, at the time, I think Mutiara Bunda is quite a relatively new school that pops up, you know, around 2000 or 1999, but like seeing the schools, like what the schools offers, they just like instantly, oh yeah, probably this is like the best one for best place for our kids. So. And like, yeah, I mean, it really shows. Now they're very happy and satisfied that I studied there, especially like my mom, even she decided to work here. But anyway, I mean, despite the fact that she worked here, I mean, she still like admired the school because, you know, not seeing only like my progress, but she also got to see a lot of different like kids' progress. I mean, she's seeing a lot of problematic kids that are just like probably at other school we just gave up on them, but then by having them in Mutiara Bunda, they become something, even like great people, like they would, like other school would have never, figure out what potential that they will have, but Mutiara Bunda able to, crack. I only wanted to get a job where it suits like things that I've studied before, just because I've studied for 3.5 years. I'm just not gonna waste it that way, by doing something that is totally not related to that, because I wanted to gain a first experience just to practice my knowledge, the things that I've been studying back in college. But in the same time, starting from that, I just wanted to gain some experience, but it's not gonna limit myself from reaching to another type of things in the world, because there are a lot of things to do. Yeah, I mean, I'm not that type of person who likes to just stay and do the same thing all over. I just wanted to explore more, but then in the same time, I just wanted to gain first-hand experiences for a couple, 1 year or 2 years, and then probably decide to do something else. Probably starting up a business or doing something else. Yeah, I've always been into like traveling. So, and I always wanted to be part of a different type of culture. I really like languages. I really like different cultures. So probably opening up some sort of like a trip or tour kind of business where I guide a lot of people going somewhere and we're having fun doing trips and stuff like that. Well, I kind of speak 5 languages in total. Well, that's including Indonesian and Sundanese. Okay, the other 3 languages that I'm not gonna say that I'm perfectly fluent at it, but there's like a 3 level, but I think I'm relatively fluent in Korean, and I can speak a bit of Chinese because I live with Chinese. When I was studying in New Zealand, I'm flatting with them, so I got to actually grasp like some of the conversations that I have. 네, 안녕하세요. 저는 비모예요. 이 학교에서 SM1 무티아라 분다, SD 무티아라 분다, SM1 무티아라 분다까지 졸업했었어요. 공부했었어요, 여기서. 그리고 제가 여기서 즐거운 시간 너무 많이 받았어요. 왜냐면은 그 성진이 너무 착해요. 그리고 친구들이 너무 착하고 그리고 분위기가 훨씬이 완전 다르네요. 다른 학교보다 이 학교는 제일 최고. 저 개인적으로 개인적으로 저 너무 좋아요, 이 학교는. 그래서 만약에 인도네시아 여행 가실 때 이 학교 하지 마세요. 죄송해요. 제 한국말 절대 못해요. 진심으로 죄송합니다. I just apologize to the camera. I just apologize. I'm saying sorry that my Korean was bad, so it was terrible actually. Well, I mean, I don't know. I cannot really certain about that. But yeah, the thing that obviously I'm gonna stay in New Zealand for at least 3 years just to use for like my visa advantage. But at the same time, I mean, if I get a chance to just have a family there, then I absolutely want to stay there. But at the same time, even though it's safe, but then if I wanted to raise a kid, I wanted to put an Indonesian value to them. I don't want them to be, I'm not saying their value is invalid, but then just to stick with their roots. And then as a Muslim myself, I wanted to give my child the best source of, Muslim knowledge. And I think by going back to Indonesia and finding a proper place like Mutiara Bunda, I mean, it's a good thing to just put a lot of good values to your kids. Because, if I were studying outside Mutiara Bunda, I mean, probably I'm gonna be not so good kid. So to all the parents out there, I think it is the best for you to put your child in the best school possible. So I think Mutiara Bunda would be a very good recommendation, because as an alumni myself, I've learned a lot of things, just not about study but about life in general. And then you gotta be able to explore more things that are put out there. And you know, the atmosphere is really good for your children, and the teachers here are overwhelmingly nice. And then, like, basically everyone who works in the school, they're gonna make your son or daughter or your children feels at their peak, at their best, because, for instance, they're not very prominent at something, they're gonna find something that is, they're gonna find something that they're really good at. So you don't have to be worried that your children is not being able to do certain things that other kids can do. But you know, they always have potentials, and Mutiara Bunda would definitely help you to crack that potentials and to make the full out of it. So yeah, this is best place to go to educate your kids. Alright, so they're my younger self. So don't worry about things. I know that you struggle with math and then a lot of different subjects as well, but you know, things are gonna get a lot better. You gotta do a lot of great things ahead, and then you know, you gotta experience a lot of things, and then you eventually found out you've got such great potentials in your life, and then you're gonna meet a lot of great people that are actually very loving, caring, and supportive of you, because life is not gonna be an easy straight line. There are gonna be a lot of hurdles and obstacle courses. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of inevitable hardships that you're gonna go through, but you know what? You're strong, you can do it. I mean, there are a lot of people besides you, and you've got a lot of potential, so you can go through that, obviously, with a smile in the end of the day, and then, you know, just try your best in everything and keep positive.